People ask, why do globalists do this? It's their appetite. It's their will. They want to run everything. And Russia, after 85 years of globalist control, broke free from it and is trying to find itself. And so many a news article has been written, national Russian TV sounds like InfoWars. What the hell's going on? It's not that they're following InfoWars. It's the truth. Anyone objectively can look at what's going on and read the globalists on admissions that carbon taxes are a plan to shut down the industrial state and are a weapon system. A quote from Vladimir Putin. How many times did I say carbon taxes are a worldwide weapon system against industrial states and nation states where the globalist combine will exempt itself from the taxes and consolidate control? Putin came out years after I said that 1,000 times and said it word for word because it's true. And I'm not a rocket scientist to see it. I'm willing to say it. I guess I wasn't cursed with following whatever the fake spin was, but seeing what it was. You have the innate talent to lead this fight as well. We're never going to surrender because we're not surrendering to an enemy that's going to just conquer us. They want to end us. Xenocide. Terroricide. The ultimate satanic sacrifice of the planet. Already underway. And everyone in their gut knows it. We now have CBS, ABC, NBC in the last 2 months all saying, everyone knows it's inevitable. All children will have microchips soon. What type of talking point is that? Oh, did you hear we're crossing humans with animals? Yeah, the announcement's being made, as I told you it would. We're entering the Gulf. We're entering into hell. We're entering into the enemy's time. But it's this time, this boot camp, that will test us forever. My dad just texted me. He said the historical key trapping of nobility was bearing arms. Well, yes, Dad, that's true. Let's call nobility what it was. The nobles were free. Everyone else were serfs and slaves. The historic trapping of being free was being armed. And only the nobles have the Secret Service and the armed guards. Let's start getting to these Vladimir Putin clips. Some of these we played, some of them we haven't. This has been translated by our own Daria, born in Russia, Army veteran here in the United States, great patriot. Let's start going to these clips. And I'm going to do more of these special reports in the future. In fact, I'll do a big produced report, I think, with these clips. It's so important. We're not going to get to his nuclear war warning until the end. Let's go to Putin predicts ISIS backed by the West in 1999. Here he is as vice president, as prime minister in 1999. Here it is.
What, in fact, is happening is that the extremist part of the Muslim world, and I'd like to emphasize it being the extremist part only, that it has a very solid infrastructure in the West, in North America and Western Europe. This particular infrastructure is what is being used by our adversaries in the Caucasus. What if the US administration comes out against Russia and the French, German, and others join them? And we find ourselves in isolation. Well, in that case, we need to figure out what it is that we want. Do we want access to the loan candy at the expense of surrendering our territory from the Black to the Caspian Seas? Isn't this the deal that's being offered here by those who have attacked Dagestan? They don't hide their plans. Sure, let's give up the territory, but then we have to keep in mind that they will not just stop there. They will go on to create an extremist Islamic State, which will continue to attack us, the same way they have been attacking the Chechen territories in the last 3 years, while our capability to fight back this aggression will be reduced greatly from what it is today.
All right, so the West is using the Islamists. That's now declassified, now admitted fact. Our own head of defense intelligence was fired and went public with it. And the media just sits there lying to the public with a bunch of chicken neck traitors. I mean, dishonorable filth. I mean, these people are filth, telling us it's all lies and Trump's evil. No, Trump is valiant. Trump is noble. Let's go ahead. This is a clip from just a few months ago saying Hillary Clinton is weak. Here it is.
Mr. President, it's a good opportunity that you will be meeting with President Obama on June 6th. Had it been instead Hillary Clinton that you were having a meeting with, would it be more difficult? Several days ago, she said, quote, "What Russia is doing in Eastern Europe today is similar to what Hitler did in the 1930s. You know, it is best not to argue with women, best to avoid any altercation with them. But Mrs. Clinton has never particularly stood out for her skills and eloquent expressions. But that's okay. We have had meetings in the past and had amicable conversations at various international gatherings. And I think that even in this case, it would be possible to find some common ground between us. But when people cross the line, step outside the lines of common decency, it speaks not of their strength, but of their weakness. However, in a woman, weakness is not the worst of qualities.
All right, now I'm going to skip this other clip. I'm going to play this later on Trump and the elections. Now our elections are rigged. I'll play that later if I have time. Let's skip to him warning of nuclear war in 2007. Then we have the warning from this year, the full warning. Unedited. I mean, this should have been all over our news everywhere. But it's not because it's so controlled. Because trendies think that if they just laugh at Putin and laugh at Russian concerns about missiles being moved to their borders, that suddenly controls it. Because they're used to just lying to everyone and just being arrogant twits who don't live in the real world. But as soon as they get called on something, they totally freak out and panic. I mean, if seasoned military generals were doing stuff, it'd be dangerous, it'd be dangerous, it'd be bad. These are literal nobodies who've never even been in a fist fight. I mean, I've been in hundreds of fights. I've done things to defend myself that I'm ashamed of, even though I had to do it. I don't think of myself as a tough guy. It's like I don't consider myself a cowboy. Even though I've sat there and dehorned 1,000 head of cattle in one day with electric dehorners and been in the midst of I'm not one of those cowboys who's done it for 20, 30 years. That's the thing. It's weird to watch these people that never even run wars sit around and try to start a giant war. That's what's so dangerous about it. It just stinks of failure. Let's go to nuclear war warning from 2007 and then his new one from this year.
Yes, the United States supposedly are not developing weapons for offensive operations. At least, as far as the public knows. Although we know they're developing them. But let's just pretend we don't know about it. Okay, they're not developing them, but these are the facts. There is an anti-missile defense system being actively developed in the United States. And sure, today it is not in working order, and we're not sure if it will ever be implemented. But theoretically, it is created for the purpose of being implemented. And so again, hypothetically, we understand that there will be a time when our nuclear potential will be completely neutralized. That is, our current nuclear capability. And if that is the case, it means that the balance of power in the world will be completely broken. And it means that one of the powers will feel a complete sense of security, which in turn means that it can do whatever it likes, not only in local conflicts, but perhaps in global conflicts as well. I'm only having a discussion with you. I'm not trying to accuse you of any aggression, but the system of international relations is a lot like mathematics. You can't take it personal. And we, of course, must react accordingly. But how? We can either match your actions and build an equally great multi-billion-dollar anti-missile defense system, or, taking into account our current economic and financial capability, we can respond asymmetrically so that it will become clear to everyone that, yes, there is an anti-missile defense system out there, but as it relates to Russia, it is entirely pointless. And we're going to take this route. It works out cheaper for us. But it is in no way directed toward the United States themselves. I fully agree with your notion that your anti-missile defense system is not targeted against us in the same way our weapon is not going to be targeted against you either.
All right. And then they moved in with Topol M, supersonic missiles. The globalists are moving in supersonic cruise missiles. Now Putin's gotten more serious. 9 years later, he comes out and says this, and we're going to get to that clip. But you have to understand that now they've got top generals and others saying Russian body bags, yeah, we're moving nukes in. We can nuke Russia. We can win a nuclear war with Russia. This is megalomania. So let's get to the big clip here. We played small clips of this, but this is the full clip, translated to English, word for word, nuclear war 2016, Putin's dire warning. Here it is.
Now, regarding the missile defense system, listen to me. Here, all we are adults at this table, and experienced professionals at that. And I'm not even going to ask you to relate everything that I say later in your newspapers, publications, and influence your media outlets. I just want to tell you on a personal level and remind you certain things. You see, the world has been free of major global conflicts in the past few decades due to the geostrategic balance of power, which used to exist. All of us know about this. And this was achieved after the two supernuclear powers essentially agreed to stop producing offensive weapon systems as well as defensive weapon systems.
Now they call offensive defensive.
Because everybody understands, and this is how it works, if one side becomes dominant in their military potential, they are more likely to want to be the first to be able to use such power.
Hit pause. Back this up 5 seconds. This is so key. They're getting rid of MAD. They're moving weapons in. They're telling Russia you can't have weapons while they're developing new ones, trying to overthrow these countries to start a fight. That's the whole point. And the average American goes, oh, Obama's black. It's okay. It's crazy town, folks. Russia wants to spend its money on infrastructure and families and repopulating Russia and inviting people in to colonize. They don't want to depopulate and collapse. They're the only country that doesn't, because they've already enjoyed 85 years of New World Order enjoyment. Let's go back to the clip.
Likely to want to be the first to be able to use such power. This is the absolute cornerstone to international security, the anti-missile defense system and all of the surrounding agreements that used to exist. I'm not going to blame anybody, I'm not going to scold anyone, but when the United States unilaterally withdrew from the anti-ballistic missile treaty of 1972, they delivered a colossal blow to the entire system of international security. And this was the first blow when it comes to assessing the strategic balance of power in the world. And at that time, in 2002, I said that we will not be developing such systems because, one, it's very expensive, and two, we aren't sure yet how they will work. So we're not just going to burn our money. We will take a different route and develop offensive weaponry in order to retain this geostrategic balance. Just for this, not in order to threaten somebody. And they said, fine, our defense system is not against you, and we assume that your weaponry is not against us. Do whatever you want. And I think the reason for this kind of response was the fact that, as I mentioned, this conversation took place in early 2000s, and Russia was in a very difficult state at that time. Total economic collapse, on the brink of a civil war and the fight against terrorism in our Caucasus region, complete destruction of our military-industrial complex. Who would have thought back then that Russia could ever again be a military power and grow strategic weapons? My guess is that they assumed that even that which was left over from the Soviet Union would eventually deteriorate. So they said, sure, do whatever you like. But we warned that we would start working on this, and we're doing it. And I can assure you that today we have achieved significant success in that area. I'm not going to list everything right now. All that matters is that we have modernized our military-industrial complex. And we're successfully continuing to develop new generation warfare. And I'm not even mentioning the anti-missile defense systems. And no matter what we said to our American partners, all our proposals to them, they refused to cooperate with us. They rejected our offers and continue to do their own thing. I will not right now even mention some things because I do not think it would be proper of me to mention them publicly. And whether or not you believe me, we offered real solutions to stop this. And they were all rejected outright. And here we are today, and they've placed their missile defense system in Romania, always saying, we must protect ourselves from Iranian nuclear threat. Where is the nuclear threat from Iran? But the agreement is signed, and the US was the instigator of this agreement, and even we helped them. We supported it. But if it were not for the US position, the agreement would not exist. And I consider this as an achievement for President Obama because I agree with this agreement because it eased tensions in the area. So President Obama can put this in his list of achievements. But the Iranian threat does not exist, but the missile defense systems are continuing to be positioned. So that means we were right when we said that they're lying to us. Their reasons are not genuine, always referring to the so-called Iranian threat in order to justify the system. Once again, they try to fool us. Now the system is functioning and being loaded with missiles. But as a journalist, I would think you would know that these missiles are put into capsules, which are used in the Tomahawk long-range missile system. So now these are being loaded with missiles that can penetrate territories within a 500-kilometer range.
This is key right here.
But we know that technology is advanced, and we even know in which year the U.S. will acquire the next, more advanced missile, which will be able to penetrate distances of up to 1,000 kilometers and even further. And from that moment on, they will start to directly threaten Russian nuclear potential. We even know year by year what's going to happen, and they know we know. It's only you that they tell these fables and you buy it and spread it to the citizens of your countries. And your people do not feel a sense of the impending danger. This is what worries me. How do you not understand that the world is being pulled in an irreversible direction? That is the problem. But they pretend like nothing's going on. I don't even know how to get through to you people anymore.
Hit pause. I don't know how to get through to you people anymore. That's right. We're going to come back, finish up that clip and more, and then Anthony Gucciardi's going to take over. We got phone calls and a lot more. This is the globalists, just absolutely dedicated to World War III, to evil, period. You know, the world is in such a dangerous position that I've gone from having anxiety to being pretty damn calm. I just really feel sorry for the average domesticated person because as somebody that knows how to skin a buck, run a trot line, somebody who knows how to fight, knows how to shoot, I'm scared for my family, and I can see what's being lined up right now by evil forces that just want to see a bunch of death and destruction. And I'm very, very sad for everybody that doesn't know what they're up against. I just hope all the trendiness is going to keep you warm at night because it's our willingness to live in a delusion is bringing this down upon us. I want to finish up this clip from just a few months ago of Vladimir Putin in an international TV broadcast, a bunch of different networks, warning of nuclear war. And do you realize the great danger we're in? I don't know how to get through to you people. We're not just going to let the West move weapons up and try to overthrow our country. He's not even getting into how they're trying to overthrow Russia internally. We just forget, say Russia is bad, okay? What is the West? It's jacking with it and trying to overthrow it. And then, you know, have George Soros run it and, you know, teach 5-year-olds how to get blowjobs. I mean, that's what they're trying to do to these people. And it's because they had Russia for dead. They'd sucked it dry over 85 years. They'd laid it down, put their oligarchs in, kind of moved off arrogantly to like loot other countries, and then Russia kind of got up on its elbows, bleeding, and went, oh, hell, we see what happened to us. Good God. And then now the New World Order is like, oh, my God, it's awake. Let's get that. The same crap they're doing to Russia, they're doing to us. You understand the New World Order hates Russia? They hate us 10 times more. Do you understand that? I love all these right-wingers like, oh, Russia and the communists, they're secretly blah, blah. Anyone knows the New World Order, the globalists, the US and British banks put the God-forsaken Bolsheviks in power. I don't have some guilt from that, but I've got more guilt as an American than the average Russian does. It's just horse crap. But I'm cursed with knowledge, cursed with history, cursed with knowing how stuff works, dealing in a world of mental midgets that love their ignorance. Well, I hope you love thermonuclear war, dumbasses. I'm not talking to the audience, but people out there that make jokes out of this. Let's finish up with Putin.
You say, this is part of a defense potential, not the offensive weaponry, that these systems are meant to, quote, prevent aggression. This is not the truth. This is incorrect. A missile defense system is part of a whole system of offensive military potential. And all this works as part of a whole that includes offensive missile launchers.
And so was SDI.
One complex blocks, the other launches a high-precision weapon,
that was good,
yet another blocks a potential nuclear strike. The third delivers its own nuclear strike in response. This is all designed to be part of one system in combination in this modern, non-nuclear, high-precision missile defense system.
Back it up. This is too important. I'm going to come back and play this. But I've interviewed Dr. Bob Bowman, the former head of Star Wars, before he died. He basically told me everything, not even the classified stuff, but what they'd leaked on accident about the Russians know the West, because of our system, has super advanced technology, okay? Not just that the Germans developed, but others. They know there's like whole floating fortresses with DU sabos, nukes, you name it, in space. But it doesn't matter. If the Russians have got 20% of that with cruise missiles and other stuff, that's mad. Doesn't matter. Okay, the U.S. can destroy the world. The globalists that run us can destroy the world 20 times. The Russians can do it 5 times. That's why the Russians are saying, fine, you do whatever you want. We're developing systems to counterbalance where you fire your musket, I run you through. But let's come back with the trooper. I mean, the Russians are saying, okay, you're getting ready to kill all of us. All right, we've got weapons to at least fire back and kill you when you kill us. That's it. And those domestic enemies are globalists on power trips. Look, let me tell you, the average scumbag can't handle power. I've seen it 1,000 times. People that don't want power are the ones that need power, who follow the basic flow of human development. But they have put all these scum in power who want to start big wars. They think they can survive at our expense. No, you are the domestic enemy. And Russia's saying, you fire your musket, but I'll run you through. So let's go ahead now and go and finish up Putin's comments from a few months ago about, you know, the danger we're in, nuclear war, this is so dangerous, as the Pentagon has given its new directives to promote nuclear war as a survivable thing. Just like they now say Fukushima leaking is okay and radiation suddenly good for you. These delusional elites like Nero now believe they've suspended the laws of gravity, the laws of physics, Newtonian physics. Let's finish up the clip.
That includes offensive missile launchers. One complex blocks, the other launches a high-precision weapon, yet another blocks a potential nuclear strike. The third delivers its own nuclear strike in response. This is all designed to be part of one system in combination in this modern, non-nuclear, high-precision missile defense systems. But okay, let's forget these missile defense systems, which will continue to develop and threaten us ever more. But those capsules into which the anti-missiles are inserted, As I mentioned, they are ship-based. And these warships can carry the tomahawks. And one could position the tomahawks in a matter of a few hours. And then it is no longer an anti-missile system now, is it? How do we know what kind of weapons are in there? All you have to do is change the program. That's it. And this is done unnoticeably. And even the Romanians wouldn't know what's going on. What, you actually think they're allowed to be informed? No one will know, not the Romanians, not the Polish either. I am well versed in such techniques. In my view, we are in grave danger. We had discussed this with our American partners, where they were saying that they would have liked to develop ballistic missiles without a nuclear warhead. And we told them, look, do you at least understand what that means or not? That means you're going to have missiles launching from submarines or ground territories. A ballistic missile launch, how do we know whether or not it has a nuclear warhead? Can you imagine what kind of a threat you will be creating? But as far as I know now, this program is not active. They have paused it for now. But the other one, they continue to implement. How all this will end, I do not know. But I know for sure that we will be forced to respond and defend ourselves. But I can see it already that they will be accusing us, yet again, of aggressive behavior, even though it is only a response on our part. Is it not obvious that we must guarantee the safety of our people? But not only our people, but also we are very concerned with providing the necessary strategic balance of power in the world, which is what I started with and will reiterate once again. It was precisely this balance of power that guaranteed planetary peace and safeguarded us from major global conflicts over the past 70 years. And it is a blessing, even though it is rooted in this mutual threat. But nevertheless, the mutual threat is what provided us with global peace for dozens of years. How could one dare to destroy it? I do not know. I think this is very dangerous. I not only think, I know it is.
All right, so for those that don't know, they're moving cruise missiles in against the Russian border. They're announcing, oh, we're going to have ballistic missiles that go up into space and back down that deliver regular payloads. You'd never do that. It's just, if you study military science, this is so crazy. So they want to, like, tell the Russians, we're going to be shooting ballistic missiles up into space, but just don't worry about that. Even though Japan's about to go to war with North Korea over not even shooting ballistic missiles, just missiles into the South China Sea. Everything's escalating with China right now. The whole world's on edge, and the average trendy just goes, look, I got a beard, I got a pink sock and a green sock. That's the equivalent of intellectual Valhalla. And I'm like, look, I don't give a damn if you got tattoos and pink socks and green socks. I mean, that's great. In fact, I like your socks. It's just that you're like supporting taking my guns and raising taxes and letting bankers be exempt. You're an intellectual retard. And they just look at me and they just go, ugh. How do you deal with that? And how do you deal with an elite that is doing things that are incredibly dangerous and seem to be disconnected from reality, with Peter Thiel running around talking about children's blood and how he wants it? I mean, it just seems like our elite's gone insane. What do we do to stop them from blowing the planet up, Anthony?
Well, I don't know about what we do to stop them, but you do think about it like it's like there's a real life pool and then there's the kids pool. And the kids pool is everyone's running around arguing about safe spaces and if someone's offended and like just complete baloney. And then in the real pool, it's this, watching nuclear war. And look how Putin, by the way, Putin, if you want to be proper, right? But he's sitting there and he's not reading a teleprompter. That's really, really scary to a lot of people in the United States, because you look at Obama.
Oh, this guy's actually an intellectual. He's actually talking.
He's sitting there speaking his mind.
Have this.
He doesn't have. He's not even looking. He's not reading his notes like this, like, oh, blah, blah, blah. He's just sitting there telling the truth. And it's really, really freaky. I mean, look at it.
By the way, it is the truth. It's not like, I've never been to Russia. Oh, Alex Jones and Trump are Russian spies because they don't have nuclear war. No, we don't want to die. Russia's not in our face. If Russia was in our business, I'd be on their ass. The Chinese government is.
Yeah.
They are running the show here. They are killing political dissidents. They are selling their organs. And every goddamn fake liberal's out there promoting it. You people are not liberals. You are sycophantic traitors.
Yeah, and Russia's not perfect. There's deep corruption there. Putin's involved with a lot of corruption. But hey, he's sitting there speaking freely, not reading a teleprompter. And if you watch the video on YouTube with him with Sanjay Gupta, they set him up at this economic forum or world forum, and they start asking him these...
This is Fareed Zakaria.
Fareed Zakaria, sorry. And they start asking him, these questions are supposed to be tough. And he just destroys them. He just destroys them.
In fact, speaking of that, speaking of El Diablo, let's play... I was trying to correct you. I just have it
No,
right
you're correct. It's Fareed Zakaria.
No, I'm Zach Powerful. Let's go ahead. I'm joking. Let's go ahead and go to him talking about controlled U.S. elections. That's the Donald Trump on U.S. elections. Here it is.
Let me ask you, Mr. President, you said that Donald Trump of the Republican Party, you said that he's a brilliant, talented, and smart candidate. Everyone was talking about this. This is what I want to know. What is it exactly about this person that made you say this? And do you still have these views? Are you sure? Okay, well...
He doesn't want to have World War III. Trump is a genius. No, not a genius. This is not suicidal.
You are a very famous person in our country. You personally. And not only as a host on a major media corporation, but also as an intellectual, an academic. Why are you twisting my words? Your yellow journalist side is prevailing over your objective analytic side. Let's see what I actually said. I said, in passing, that Trump is a striking person. Why? Do you not find him to be so? I do. I did not give him any other characteristics. But what I do pay attention to, and what I most certainly welcome, and don't see anything bad in that, but on the contrary, that Mr. Trump declared that he's ready to restore full cooperative relations with Russia.
How horrible is that?
What's so bad about that? We all welcome that. Do you not? However, we never interfere into the internal political processes of other countries, especially the United States. But we will work with whichever individual the American people vote for. Although I don't think, see, America teaches everybody how to live in, quote, democracy. But what, you actually believe that they have democratic elections there? This is the truth. Look, twice in the U.S. history, president was chosen not by the majority voters, but by the superdelegates. Is that democratic? And when we try to discuss this with our U.S. colleagues, and we do not criticize, but merely have a discussion, they say, mind your own business, this is how we do it. Well, then why are you interfering in our business? Don't meddle in our business. Sort out your own issues first. But I repeat again, it is, in fact, not our business what's going on in U.S. elections. In fact, there are reports even of prosecuting attorneys not allowing international observers into U.S. polling stations. And they threaten with jail time. But that's their problem to sort out. That's how they do it. They like it that way.
Trump, question this.
America is a great superpower. Perhaps the only superpower of present time. We accept this. We want to cooperate with the United States. No matter how their elections go, there will be a new head of state who will have great powers. The U.S. is undergoing difficult internal political and economic challenges. The world does need a strong superpower country such as that, and we need it too. We just don't need for them to constantly meddle in our business, telling us how to live, and throwing a wedge between us and Europe. For example, these sanctions that you mentioned, do they affect the U.S.? Not at all. They couldn't care less about these sanctions because our reactionary measures in response to these sanctions do not affect them at all. But who do they affect? Europe, but not in the least the United States. But they do tell their European counterparts, hang in there. I don't know why the Europeans should put up with this, but if they want to, sure, let them hang in there. Matteo, why should you suffer this? Matteo will explain to us in a second why he should hang in there. He's a great orator. His speech was striking.
Let's explain this. It's globalist corporations. We don't think of being conquered by a corporation. That's what this is. It's not that Russia's good or bad. It's that Russia's trying to reestablish itself, so the globalists think, oh, we own you like we own America, like we own all these other countries. And here's Putin. I mean, I'll be honest. I do go like every few days, instead of watching TV or a movie, I'll get on the computer and let's go hear Putin talk to media for 2 hours with no teleprompter, and everything he says is true. So it's not like I'm some fan of Putin, but I am, because it's all true. And the guy is like dialed into what's going on. He goes, oh, Russia's incredibly corrupt. We're horrible. The mafia, we got to fix it. He's trying to, the Russian mafia is after him. I'm not trying to lionize the guy. It's just he promotes Christianity. He promotes family. He does all this stuff. And then we've got our media saying mother and father is bad, pushing all this crap. And it's just so obvious. We're run by multinationals. We've been conquered just like Russia was by oligarchs. We should understand Russia's been through what we've been through and understand that these oligarchs will start a major war to stay in power, and that Russia is not expanding. They're not taking one thing off our dinner table. They're not pissing on our face. They're very respectful. China is taking everything over, allied with the elite. I don't want to fight with them either. But it's just so clear. Everywhere you hear war with Russia, it is the total scapegoat. Our own military doesn't want this. They see through it, Anthony. I think our elite has gone too far. They hijacked American power. They hijacked American gravitas. They hijacked America's proper response to communism that did crush the Soviet Union. But they don't understand that that's spiritual power being in the right, providence. God's providence is not over this country now. We are now a cursed nation. And attacking Russia does nothing. So I think the elite need to understand they're not executing these plans anymore in a vacuum.
You know, it's interesting. You look at the juxtaposition, the contrast. That video is a perfect example of the mainstream media in the United States and the failure of it, because he asks an emotionally charged, like,
this should be all over our news, whether he's wrong or right.
Zachariah asked them, though, a charged question about Trump, trying to pin him up against the wall and say something, right? But Putin, regardless of what you think about him, he's not playing that game. So instead of going, oh, I'm so sorry I said that, I didn't mean it like that. He
transcends it.
He actually talks about stuff that no one else will talk about.
It's like when I was on CNN, and I'm not bragging, it's just the answer to all of it. You're a fake. You want our guns. I'm not having a fake debate. I transcend you.
And you talked about how Prozac was one of their advertisers, or antidepressants or whatever, and they were like, whoa, wait a minute.
Just transcended it.
You're not allowed to go that far. But Putin went that far anyway. He didn't use a teleprompter. He sat there talking about the rigged elections, and he's like, look, I don't get involved with your stuff. You guys have a huge situation. You have numerous investigations proving this is happening, but we're not going to get involved. So how dare you even ask me about a comment I made about Trump, which he said he was a color.
Meanwhile, they're spending $10 billion a year to overthrow the Russian government.
Of course. And also, meanwhile, U.S. approves $1.15 billion tank weapons sale to Saudi Arabia. So it's hilarious. They sit up there and act like, you have to be tolerant. You know, we are against this radical Islam and blah, blah, blah. Oh, we're going to give $1.1 billion of tanks and weapons to Saudi Arabia, which is just one of the most absurd, oppressive, terrible countries in the world. And it's the Human Rights Watch kicked it off, but they paid them off, and it's all corrupt. They had to put them back. And they actually had one of the Human Rights Watch committees, of course, right? But it's
they had the UN Committee on Human Rights. It's all like comedy.
It's all a joke, and the only people that don't get it are the ones that completely buy into the BS.
Well, I'll tell you this. There's a full-on assault on Trump, and it can be demoralizing at certain points. But I look at who they've got on TV. They look demoralized. They know it's all a joke. Trump's way ahead of the polls. If they steal it, that's their issue. But the elite are really burning down right now, Anthony.
I think they're burning so hard at both ends. Look at CNN. Its ratings are going down over and over again. It just lost the third today.
They're killing themselves to deliver this twitching witch that wears a giant diaper.
They'll do anything to...
Hillary Clinton is a giant diaper.
She's just a giant diaper.
Full of 25 gallons of guacamole.
They will do anything to kamikaze Americana as much as they possibly can.
Because they're losers. They hate it. They hate power. They hate success. They're pieces of crap. That's the good news. You losers are always going to fail. I just hope they can't start a nuclear war. Because let me tell you, I mean, Napoleon and Hitler were smarter compared to these guys. They were bad guys, but it's creepy to watch a bunch of weird women in like super suits and like jewelry going, we gonna F you up, Russia. It's like, really? It's just getting weird.
It's just not real life anymore. I mean, turn on the television.
It's like going to a restaurant and find the biggest guy in the restaurant starting to fight for no reason, and you're a midget.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Well, you think about it, where is the riskiest place to go? You know, it's never around intellectual. If you go to really intellectual, intelligent, successful people that care about their life and care about their country, and we hang out with people like that, you know, we're not afraid they're going to kill us. You know, we're not afraid they're going to do something terrible to us. It's when you go out and you join the really mad, like angsty, angry people that like couldn't do it and they don't like success and they hate people that try and have success. They have something to prove, and they believe in all this BS. And those are the people that are fueling it all. And the other people.
And what's weird is they're running the superpower, and they've got something to prove because they robbed it. They're frauds.
They're frauds, and they'll use anything they can to get up to the top. So that means filing, you know, fake stuff against people, blackmailing, screwing people over. Those are the people that'll climb because the good people refuse to do it, and they say, "No way, I'm not going to do that." And the good people say, "Hey, I can't handle this. This is energetically draining to me being with all these vipers." You know what I mean? And they'll talk about this all day long, but no one talks about the real news. Course, besides,
well, you've got it coming up. I'm gonna turn the.
No, it's not. I'm not even trying to get to the news. The idea, though, is that no one wants to talk about the stuff that's going on. Like a one.
How good was that Charlton
tank? It
earlier?
Was good.
I love him so much.
That's bad. That's very, very bad these days.
I don't love him because he was a movie star. He was so real. The opposite of an arrogant bastard.
He was on the show how many times?
Only twice.
Twice.
I never really harassed him to come on.
Again.
No, he's like, "Oh, call me anytime to talk about strategy and everything." And I call. It was just. It was amazing because he was a real guy.
It's just like, it's amazing how many people actually want to come on and doesn't end up happening until something bad happens. Like that Gary guy, that one movie, he was exposing everything, the drug traffic. He came on the show at one point. Remember, we couldn't find the tapes? Oh, yeah, Kill the Messenger. That's the movie. Remember that?
Yeah. That was Gary Webb.
Gary Webb, yeah.
No, he was like, "Put up my website. No one will help me. I've got all this proof. My book's coming out. These guys are breaking into my house, they're threatening to kill me," and then they kill him. And then right after it happens, all these attacks happen going, "Jones says he was killed. He's a kook." The guy was telling me they were breaking in his house. And then I had like his friends going, "Yeah, they were breaking in his house every day, threatening to kill him. They stole his motorcycle." The good news is at least the movie came out.
And then the movie shows it all happening, you know. But you were crazy then. Just like they killed.
Let me tell you, I got nauseated during that movie. It was like a documentary. It was like real. It's like, oh my God, this guy was a patriot.
Yeah.
They killed him.
They killed him. But it's just like the Democrat guy that he got robbed, though. He took nothing, right? The guy that
shot him 4 times in the back.
WikiLeaks, "Oh, just kill him. He was on the way to the FBI." But he got robbed. It reminds me of some type of like.
I mean, how do these people think they're going to go on forever? They're going to start a fight with us that in the end, we're not going to be able to back down, and we're going to totally kick your ass.
We're
going to dig you out of your hole, just like Hitler in Berlin. I mean, you are going to get it. You understand?
I just imagined the police chief that had to say that was like something out of Sin City. I haven't looked this person up yet, but imagine, you know, the Sin City people, they have like weird heads and like misformed and stuff, and they're like, "It was a burglary." You know, like that's what I imagine. They can't possibly come out and honestly say, "Oh, it was a burglary." They took nothing. They shot him a bunch of times after he supplied information to WikiLeaks. He's on the way to the FBI. They're like, "You know, we looked into the evidence. The forensics show it was just a burglary. The suspect got away. Case closed."
Well, you're going to come back and take over and maybe take some calls from all the folks that are patiently holding. But I tell you, it is a crazy world. We'll be back with a Friday edition tomorrow. Nightly news, 7 o'clock Central tonight. And briefly, we got 50% off colloidal silver, which everybody should have a stockpile of, and 40% off Anthroplex. That's still going, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of other stuff. And it's your funding funds this operation. I'm sick of plugging stuff. We got great products everybody needs. We need the money to fund the operation. If you, my voice is shot today from screaming earlier.
Yeah, I could tell. It's all right.
What headline do we give that, Brant? I guess you didn't hear it.
I heard it.
Anyways, Anthony Gucciardi takes over. We love you all. Infowars.com. Do not promote that website. There's no censorship going on. You shouldn't fight back. Hillary loves you. Just submit to her.
Talk show host is Alex Jones. He's a conspiracy theorist.
Radio talk show host Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
Jones is the wildly popular conspiracy theorist.
Radio talk show host and conspiracy theorist Alex Jones.
Deeply, I think, racist.
I just got called racist by MSNBC.
I don't want that man to have a gun.
1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms.
The Alex Jones Show. Watch the free stream live at Infowars.com/show.
Thousands of years ago, there was a basic form of chivalry. Our ancestors would hear the drums of war, giving the warriors of the tribe a chance to organize and prepare a defense. 60 years ago, when foreign air forces were approaching filled with bombs, they had drums of their own, air raid sirens. But in the 21st century, there are silent weapons for quiet war. Pathogens added to the food and water and to the lining of plastics that destroy our vitality, turn off our hormones, and accelerate our journey towards death. I personally counter this onslaught with Anthroplex. Anthroplex is designed with known organic concentrated herbs to create the basic foundation to normal metabolic activity inside the human body. Discover why Anthroplex is turning so many heads today. It's time for us to take our bodies back into our own hands, and it starts at InfoWarsLife.com with Anthroplex.